Can I just say to all of you, thank you so much, because it's magical. It's something that I've been in the audience and I've watched the show and I absolutely love it. How did you do it? It's that simple.
So I read it when it came out in 2002 and absolutely loved it. And then when the opportunity to adapt it came up, I didn't think twice, which is maybe foolish, because if I thought twice, I might have thought, how? I'm very pragmatic. So I underlined all the bits in the novel that I thought were interesting. Characters, dialogue, philosophy, plot. I underlined it all and I sort of cut and pasted it into a document for myself that had headings of God, family, zoo, faith, survival, shipwreck, you know. And then I just kind of knitted Jan Martel's amazing story and words and ideas into that.
So I arrived when Lolita had done a first draft of the adaptation, and then we started working together and we tried to work out how the physical life and the puppets and the animals and the story would fit in around the words that Lolita had written. Like, Lolita's amazing first draft had even more puppets, and I think it had flamingos and meerkats and like a lot
a rhinoceros just passing.
Yes, a rhinoceros. And you know, so there was a sort of practical thing about what we could actually achieve, and I suppose also a kind of a centralizing thing about what was the story and what bits of the story would be told with language and what bits could be like full-on immersive, done with the movement and the physical storytelling.
So, Finn, with the puppets then, where did you begin? Did you fall asleep, dream of them and go, I know?
We started with the tiger because we knew if the show was going to work, the tiger had to work. So the first thing Nick Barnes and I did was build a prototype tiger. We get the anatomy of a tiger and we blew that up life-size on a wall. And we go, okay, there's the shoulder, there's the knee, there's the hips, there's the whatever. And then we build it out of really simple material. It looks like a skeleton.
So we actually spent more time moving bits of loo roll and bamboo and cardboard around to kind of check the bones. So it's a question of kind of making sure that the backbone of the whole thing makes sense.
That's what we were hammering out between us in terms of all the different disciplines that we had to put in, was what makes sense and how. How do we go from this point to that point?
So as somebody who's watched the play and now been lucky enough to have a moment with the actors, with the puppeteers, how do you begin to help actors become animals and work so closely together?
So we have this team of amazing puppeteers. You met some of them earlier, and they're extraordinary. By their nature, puppeteers tend to be very generous people because they are always sharing a role with other people and they're always working together. But I think what's extraordinary about this show and this process is that there is a level of listening on this show that I've never experienced on a different show. That level of physical listening to each other and telling the story through the physical relationships. If the tiger moves over here, what does that mean for you in terms of your safety, in terms of how it's trying to communicate, whether it's friendly or not? That level of physical listening is really, really high, and I think that gives you that sort of sensitivity that you're responding to.
In a funny way, the work is incredibly practical. You know, imagination is very, very concrete. So of course they have to listen, they have to imagine, but really the work is on how do you jump, how do you move back, when you hear a whistle, how does that respond in your body? The imagination is made out of trying to make 1,000 little concrete moments real, and then they sort of like pearls on a string sort of join up, hopefully, to being a living tiger.
The lighting and the video and, I mean, that is incredible as well.
And Tim's amazing set. I mean, like when we first saw the boat come out of the floor,
beautiful.
We were like, whoa.
And the sound. I mean, the sound design, which is a very sort of hidden thing, but is supporting everything and is just guiding you through. And the music, the composing. There's a lot of elements in it.
We did it in layers. So the first thing you do is the boy and the tiger, and then you're like, okay, that's sort of working now. Oh, now the set is really delivering something else. So you never try to take on the entire complexity in one go. We just built from basics and then added and added and added.
This is so fascinating. So can we talk about the audience now? What do you want the audience to get from this?
I think I'd like people to have a really good night out. And for me, a good night out is something where I've laughed and I've cried and I've really been asked to think. I guess, and also something about thinking about how we think about the world. So I'm a new father and I've just had some babies in intensive care. And they're really triplets. They're really well. They're home. The NHS hospital was totally amazing. I don't know if you know this, but when you have a baby in an incubator, they have lots of monitors on them and you put your hands on them and give them a hug and their oxygen level rises right up, their sats go right up. This is sort of the Life of Pi way of thinking about it. There are different ways of describing that, aren't there? So one way is saying they've got skin-to-skin contact and therefore their oxytocin is boosted and therefore their oxygen goes up and their stats go up. But in a funny way, me hugging my newborn baby doesn't feel to me like oxygen saturation and oxytocin. It feels like love. They're just sort of different versions of truth. And I think Life of Pi is interested in those two different ways of thinking about truth. We make theatre, and so I have a belief in the importance of the imaginative. The poetic and the imaginative way has a power and importance to and can talk about things that the more materialistic way can't always describe.